Well, that depends on who you ask. Thanks for having me. If you are a Swiftie, I'm sure that Taylor Swift's endorsement definitely moved the needle a little bit. But I saw a statistic earlier that said 30% of registered voters were counting on tonight's debate to make a decision about who they would vote for. And what I saw was two different candidates, a candidate who was well prepared to talk about her plan about the economy, about healthcare, about abortion, about international issues, about the U.S.'s position in the international stage. And we saw a 34-time convicted felon who missed an opportunity to tell America how he would rule different than he did when he won in 2020.
Mayor, let me just come to the performance, because it felt as though there'd been a ton of rehearsals taking place behind the scenes for Harris, some of that really kicking in, sharp retorts to Trump, but also then pushing on to some of the policy platform. How do the Democrats feel that this played out for Harris?
I think this solidified her policy positions on a lot of things on how she would help everyday American people. She talked about her upbringing, about how her mother rented their apartment for many, many years and didn't get a chance to buy their first home until she was a teenager. Talked about her middle class upbringing and how her mother worked hard and saved and sacrificed in order to push her and her sister forward. That is the story of a lot of American families across this country. And she came with definite plans on how she was going to lift the middle class and help everyday working people get to a part of the middle class and help families thrive.
Mayor Jones, though, perhaps Donald Trump didn't go after the vice president as much as some people thought he would do on her economic record, on the record of the Biden Harris presidency as well. Americans, and you know this better than I could possibly know, in the city of St. Louis and throughout the country, are struggling with the cost of living crisis as well. Do you think, actually, looking at this objectively, that the Democratic government has done enough for Americans in helping them out already in the current administration, rather than the next administration, of helping them out of this cost of living crisis?
Yeah, so speaking for St. Louis, when Congress passed the American Rescue Plan Act and President Biden signed that, St. Louis, Missouri received almost $500 million to recover from the COVID pandemic. And we're using those dollars intentionally to help families thrive. We're building new homes. We have a guaranteed basic income pilot going. We've granted millions of dollars to small businesses to get back on their feet. We are fixing our crumbling infrastructure and much more. So the Biden-Harris administration has been key to mayors like myself and mayors all across this country in recovering from the COVID pandemic. And we look to see more once Vice President Harris wins in November.
Mayor, can I just ask you about the desire for change? Because this was something that Trump was talking about as he tried to paint Harris as an incumbent. That was around the issues in regards to foreign policy when the war in Ukraine started, around the withdrawal from Afghanistan, and also other policy issues while she's been in the White House and while she's been rather in charge. In terms of what we're seeing, do you think we had enough that Harris managed to distance herself from Biden and look like she was not the incumbent?
No, absolutely not. Anytime that you're withdrawing from a war-torn country, there's going to be a little bit of chaos. We saw that in the 60s with Vietnam, and we saw that again in Afghanistan. There are no easy ways to exit a war. And I think that the Biden-Harris administration did the best they could when they exited Afghanistan. And also, we have been an ally to Ukraine and trying to help them fight back against Russian influence. And I don't think that Vice President Kamala Harris should distance herself at all.
One more question.